going on, Jeromes? Beautiful Friday, and it's a beautiful day for some Q&A. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Again, for the 17,000th time, we're going to try and get better at doing some more videos of Q&A. So first up, Wesley White, Mr. White, OG Jerome. How bad could the injury be with Johnson that caused him to fall out of the first round? And is there a scenario where Kwesi goes up and gets Johnson or Emmett Warrior? So yes, I think there could be some movement for the Vikings day two. I do think that the Vikings excess draft capital next year could be in play. And you could be like, well, why mortgage the future? Not really doing that. Yeah, especially since the Vikings roster is ready to go right now, as well as the bounty of talent day two. It's going to be good. With Will Johnson, so there were some medical red flags that popped up later. So he did miss time with the turf toe. The knee was undisclosed until recently. Adam Schefter, I believe, broke that story last night. But even with that, like, he reportedly moved pretty well at his private workout day. Durante Jones was there. Don't know if the Vikings medical team made it out there, but also could be the reason why he didn't run the 40, because I think that those testing numbers would have been down. But I think that this is a gamble now, and this has happened before, where you'll have some players that have medical issues. They fall down the draft board, and some team day two is going to take a swing at Will Johnson, because I think if 100% healthy, like if he was able to declare after his sophomore year, the national title season with J.J. McCarthy in 2023, he would have been a top 10 pick. Well, depending with all the quarterback nonsense last year, but he probably would have been the first corner taken last year, and I think that he does have that skill set. And this year, if he had a clean bill of health, I think that he would have been jockeying with right behind Travis Hunter as the second quarterback off the board. So I think that he's a talented dude. I think he has the right mental makeup. I think that the largest red flag was the Chargers passing on him. Of course, Jim Harbaugh knows them. They go way back like chiropractic. Chargers have a need at corner. So, yeah, I think that if the Vikings, it is going to take a leap of faith. But, of course, Kwesi loves the medical guys, but also could be a spot where this could be a career-ending knee injury, or certainly career-impacting. Maybe he goes from potential to be a J.C. Horn cornerback one type to just a guy. So we'll see. Next up, number 2, Justin Colburn, longtime OG Jerome. If Donovan Jackson was projected to be a day one starter and Pro Bowl caliber, why is there so much hate for the 24th pick? I'll be honest, I didn't expect this pick, but analysts gave it a B or worse. So there's some vitriol from analysts. Well, idiotic analysts, sure. But I think overall, like the tenor of the pick is like it's pretty good, and the Vikings definitely aren't effing around when it comes to protecting J.J. McCarthy, getting that run game going. Jackson, Kelly, Fries just completely gutting that interior offensive line and rebuilding from the studs up. It's great. I do think that just taking temperature of the fan base, I think it's like 70-30. So 70% Vikings fans were like, because we've been bitching and moaning about the interior offensive line for years, going back to Pat Elflein and even before that, right? So the Vikings finally spend premium draft capital on a dude who I believe can walk into that left guard spot and be good to go. But it's always like, well, what about corner? What about safety? What about needs? What about needs? I think this is the perfect meshing of BPA as well as need, because I think that Jackson probably was BPA on the Vikings board, especially with knowledge of Will Johnson's knee, and it was a position need as well. And you could be like, well, what about corner? What about it? Like, what do you want to do? Did you want to just take Will Johnson there? Like, is that the plan? Or did you want to take Siobhan Ravel or Morrison? Yeah, other medical corners. Like, is that the plan? Malachi Starks would have completely understood, but it didn't happen. So either way, hey, it's like we said before the draft. You can have your draft favorite, sure, but once the Vikings pick their guy, he's your guy, right? And it's so weird because, obviously I feel like people want to armchair GM all the time, but at a certain point, love the one you're with, right? And don't just hate on Donovan Jackson the entire time that he's here because you didn't want him in the draft. You wanted someone else. Oh, you could have traded down. No, nonsense. He's your guy. Buckle up. Let's go. Next up. Huseberry. Considering the thickness, THICC-ness of the draft on day 2, is it practical to trade next year's second rounder for an early third rounder tomorrow? Would that be good value if Siobhan Ravel, Benjamin Morrison, or my Norman Lott? Oh, Norman for Lott is available. What other good cornerback, D-tackle, nose tackle options? So this is something that we talked about earlier. Yes. So the Vikings right now, so their own their own fifth that they gave to the Jaguars for Cam Robinson, pending on playing time, that might become a fourth. So it might be a fourth or fifth juxtaposed. It's either way. But the Vikings in line for a third and fifth right now. They have a surplus of 7th round picks. So if the Vikings want to maneuver in day 2, packaging up currently their third and fourth or third and fifth, I would have no issue with that. They're just going up and getting your guy. And yeah, if Emenwari is that dude, sure, go ahead. If Will Johnson, if you're ready to gamble on him, like mid-day 2, go ahead. But also, Ravel, Amos, Morrison are absolute studs. But of course, there are some medical drawbacks with them. Or like Pelissero mentioned earlier, like, hey, if the Vikings want to target a certain running back, go ahead. Because even though, you got Mason, Aaron Jones, they're only on 2-year deals, and Aaron Jones turns 31 in December. And also, Jordan Mason's running style, I don't know, like, may just be like 3 years and we out sort of deal. But Judkins, you got Trevion Henderson, you got Scadaboo. Omar Norman Lott is one of our favorites as well. Ezra Thomas, a corner, a little bit later on. So I think that, the Vikings certainly could partake in day 2 because there's a lot of talented players on the board, man. Next, do you think we trade Brandel or keep him as depth? I think that it will be a open competition. Like, obviously, they're not just going to hand Donovan Jackson the job. But Brandel, the incumbent from last year, I think Juergens, Walter Rouse could get into that left guard competition, that derby. And I think ultimately Donovan Jackson's too talented. I think that eventually he will win that job. And Brandel, so of his base salary this year, was it 2.6? 1.65 million is guaranteed. So it might be a pay cut or cut situation. And if he is cut, there is offsetting language in his contract, like most deals. So if he signs somewhere else, the Vikings would, say he signs somewhere for the league minimum, just over $1 million. So the Vikings be on the hook for like $600K. That's fine. But also it could be hey, we're going to reduce your salary down to what's guaranteed. You can have a couple incentives if you end up starting at some point, and then just go from there. So it's a pay cut or cut situation if he ends up being a backup. And I wouldn't mind Brandel as a backup since he can back up 4 spots, both tackles and both guard spots. And I think that Darisaw Jackson, Kelly Fries, O'Neal as your starters. School, Brandel, Juergens, Rouse as your 4 primary backups. That ain't bad. That ain't bad, man. Let's get after things. Kind of love that. Lastly, Lord of the Rings lore master, MJ, OG Jerome. How badly does Shedeur falling affect his ability moving forward? He seems to have a lot of bravado and pizzazz. We don't hear that word enough, pizzazz. Well, wasn't that the name of like a pizza oven? Where it's like an open-faced pizza oven? Nah. But does he have the ability to live with a chip on his shoulder? Cough, cough, like J.J. McCarthy. Also, does the Jackson pick mean we go safety or defensive tackle in the 3rd round? I'm feeling safety myself. There is a nice band of safeties that are going to be, towards the back end of day 2, top end of day 3. You're looking at Makuba from Texas. Talk about Billy Bowman. Craig was from Cal. I think that there's going to be some decent safeties there, right? The Vikings didn't necessarily need to force a safety pick at 24. Starks would have been fantastic, but at a certain point, just like Starks, Emenwari, the rest of the safeties, Jackson, the rest of the interior offensive line. I think that's where we're at. But with Sanders, so don't blame NFL GMs for not taking Shedeur in the 1st round. Don't even blame Shedeur for not being a 1st-round pick. Blame the friggin' sports media. Or the media industrial complex. Blame the national media jabroni haircuts who all offseason, blah, 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 Shedeur, blah, 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 Colorado, blah, 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 Dion, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he was hyped up as, it was a decision. Well, do the Titans take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders at 1? More on this, and Lil Wayne talks about LeBron and NHL later. First take. No, it's the media hyped up Shedeur Sanders because Shedeur and Dion and Colorado, they're polarizing. Like, I personally, I love Deion Sanders. He's the man. Shedeur was a tough-ass college quarterback. He's accurate at times. He doesn't have like the live arm talent that ideally you need in the National Football League, but I think he makes good decisions. He played under duress a lot at Colorado. And overall, like I think that he is a fine quarterback. I think that if his last name was Bartkowski or whatever, I think that he would be a decent mid-round, high-end backup quarterback, and that's perfectly fine. There are spots for that. We've always said that the second most valuable person on a team is the backup quarterback, right? But since it's Shedeur, since it's Deion, since it's all the glitz and glamour, the national media just chomped onto it. Mel Kiper Jr. completely pooped his pants, all right? And that's not an age joke, but so instead of him admitting that he got an assessment wrong, he got an evaluation wrong on a prospect, he basically spent the entire first round calling teams stupid for not taking Shedeur Sanders, as opposed to, hey, how about we celebrate these 32 young men who worked their ass off, their friends and family around them supported them all these years, their dreams coming true. Oh, Shedeur Sanders. No, like Shedeur, I understand why Shedeur could rub some people the wrong way. Personally, I wasn't a fan of him showing off the watch when they barely beat NDSU. Congratulations. I mean, yeah, NDSU is FCS power. They're still an FCS team. You're freaking Colorado, but anyways, but I think Shedeur can be fine. Do I think that he was going to be a first-round pick? No, I do not. I did not. I could honestly see him falling. We talked about it over the last couple of weeks. I didn't really expect him falling out of the first round, but I guess it's not the craziest thing ever. I still think that he gets drafted at some point in round 2, but the people who are hyping him up as a first-round pick, a top 10 pick, a top 5 pick, a potential number 1 pick, that's the media. The media got it wrong, and now since they got it wrong, they're just doubling, tripling down. It's a macro version of Diane Orsini and The Athletic and Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings. It's exactly what it is. Oh, we were wrong? We're doubling it down. No. Am I wrong here? No, it's the children who are out of touch, or whatever this Principal Skinner line is. But, yeah, Shedeur, I hope he takes this to heart, because I know, like, kids that come from privilege and all this stuff, and then they're supported and all this stuff. But, I mean, Steph Curry was a privileged kid, although, I mean, Deion and Del Curry. I mean, Del Curry is perfectly fine. He ain't no Deion. But I think Shedeur should take this to heart. And plus, this doesn't mean that this is the end, right? So Geno Smith, back in 2013, that was the sort of odd draft. I think Eric Fisher was number 1 to the Chiefs. I mean, what a bad beat. You end up with a number 1 overall pick, and it's Eric Fisher. So Geno Smith ended up going second round to the Jets. Fell out of the first round. But at Radio City Music Hall, he had a suit with a red tie because he thought he was going number 1 to the Chiefs. And when Geno's become one of my favorite quarterbacks in this league, they wrote me off that I didn't write back, because after that disappointment of not going 1, falling out of the first round, second round pick to the freaking Jets, got ruined with the Jets, bounced around a little bit, got his shot with Pete in Seattle, made the most of it, and now is getting another shot with Pete with the Raiders. I think that he'll be fine. Like, Shedeur can follow the Geno Smith path. He really can, because when he gets drafted by a team, he's not going to be handed the starting job. He's going to have to compete. He's going to have to fight. He's going to be perfectly fine. And if he takes that to heart, if he puts that chip on his shoulder, if he checks himself and completely buys in, stops throwing his teammates under the bus, I think that could be very good for him. And frankly, I think that having a coach that isn't his dad is going to be really good for him as well. So I still believe in Shedeur. I'm rooting for him. And I don't know. It's like, again, him falling out of the first round, people are making fun of him. I mean, sure, the ego and bravado is there. The draft room at his house is kind of ridiculous. The dude with the giant hat, oversized hat, that was stupid. But no, now, hey, just prove what you got, right? Hey, you talk a good game, you can back it up at times. Back it up in the NFL. Go ahead and go do it. So do it. Don't talk about it. Show us. That's right. Anyways, that's it. Vikings Q&A. You guys are the absolute best. Love you guys. Skol, production value.